My name is Hayes. I'm a family law attorney in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've spent years in court fighting for mothers and children, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for that Saturday. The phone rang out of nowhere. It was my brother-in-law, Seth. His voice was low, almost a whisper, as if even the walls could betray him. I need to ask you something. Weird. Is Damon home with you? And the little one? I froze mid-step. Behind me, in the quiet of our suburban living room near Lake Michigan, my 3-year-old daughter Lila was stacking her special sound-making blocks, the kind designed for kids who can't see. Damon was there too, flipping through the weekend paper like any ordinary Saturday. Yeah. He's here, I said, though. A cold shiver ran down my spine. A long silence followed. Then Seth's words cut through the quiet, sharp, and impossible. That can't be right. Because I'm watching him right now. He's holding hands with some young woman. They just boarded a first-class flight to Miami. My chest tightened. The paper slipped from my hands. My eyes darted toward the doorway. Footsteps. Damon walked in, coffee mug in hand, smiling that same lazy, familiar smile we'd shared for 7 years of marriage. "Who's on the phone?" he asked casually. Lila's voice rang out, innocent and bright. "Daddy." She ran to him, arms wide. He knelt, ruffled her hair gently, guiding her tiny hands across his face so she could see him. My stomach sank. The man in front of me, the one who traced my daughter's fingers, who laughed with her and soothed her fears, could not possibly be the same man Seth just saw leaving with another woman. One of them had to be fake. I stared, my mind spinning. Dark hair, the half smile I once loved, the wedding ring we picked together. Everything looked normal. But Seth wouldn't lie. He was the only one in Damon's family who stayed close after Lila lost her vision at 1. So who was this man holding my daughter in my living room, pretending to be the perfect father? And what was the real Damon doing in Miami, walking away from the little girl he once called his burden? The silence in the room pressed on me like a weight. My mind raced through possibilities: an elaborate deception, a doppelganger, a cruel joke. Yet the familiarity in this man's eyes, the tenderness he showed Lila, made no sense with the image of Damon I had just seen on a flight departing for Miami. I could feel every heartbeat, every tremor in my chest as fear and disbelief twisted together. One thing was certain this Saturday afternoon: my life, my daughter's life, and the man I thought I knew had all been shattered in an instant. And in that silence I realized the truth I dreaded most. The unraveling had only just begun. If you believe no child should ever be abandoned and that every mother fighting for her family deserves justice, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications now. You won't want to miss what happens next, because the story is far from over. And you're about to see the shocking truth unfold. The next morning, I sat quietly in Lila's playroom upstairs. Trent was already there with her cross-legged on the colorful mat. He picked up one of her textured shape sorters, the ones with different surfaces and embedded sounds, and placed it gently in her hands. "Feel this one, princess," he said softly. "It's the circle, smooth all around, and listen when you press here." He guided her tiny fingers to the button that made a chime. Lila giggled as the sound rang out, and he patiently waited while she explored every edge, describing each texture in a calm, encouraging voice. He even started humming along with the toy's little melody when she activated the music feature. That was the moment my blood ran cold. The real Damon hated this routine. He avoided it completely. Every time I tried to get him to sit with Lila and go through her daily sensory exercises, the ones her specialist insisted on for development, he would tense up. "I can't do this right now," he'd snap, standing abruptly. "It's too much. Work is calling." Or he'd just leave the room muttering about deadlines or client calls he suddenly had to take. Once, after a long session where Lila struggled to identify a shape, he lost it completely. How am I supposed to deal with this every single day? He'd hissed at me later, away from her ears. I didn't sign up for a lifetime of this. Trent, though, stayed on the floor for over 20 minutes, repeating the process with squares, triangles, stars. He praised every small discovery, his tone warm and steady, never rushing her. Lila leaned against him, completely at ease, her little face lighting up with each new sound. My phone buzzed on the side table. A message from Seth. He'd sent 3 photos taken at the gate, Damon in a sharp suit arm around a young blonde woman's waist as they laughed at something on his phone. Another showed them handing over boarding passes for first class. The last one was a close-up of Damon leaning in to kiss her cheek. Seth added a voice note. I got close enough to hear him say it, Uma, clear as day to her, finally getting away from that burden back home. I recorded a snippet if you need it. I played it low. Damon's voice, unmistakable. Escape that burden once and for all. The words hit like a punch. Burden. That's what he'd started calling Lila after the diagnosis. Never to her face, but to me, in heated arguments late at night. I can't be the father of a child like this forever, he'd said one evening after storming out of her therapy session. It's draining everything. Another time, when bills for her specialized preschool came in, if you want to keep pouring money into this, fine. Raise her yourself. I need a normal life. I'd defended her every time, told him he was wrong, that Lila was perfect, and we'd figure it out together. He'd apologize the next day, bring flowers, promise to try harder. But the resentment built. The distance grew. And now this stranger in my house was doing the one thing Damon refused to do, being present for our daughter in the way she needed most. I watched Trent help Lila stack the blocks into a tower, narrating each placement so she could follow along. He didn't check his watch once. No excuses, no frustration. Everything about him was too perfect in the worst way. Because the real father, the one who'd vowed to love us in sickness and in health, was apparently celebrating his freedom in Miami with someone new. By the time they finished, Lila was beaming, clapping her hands at the completed tower. Trent high-fived her gently, letting her feel his palm first. Great job, kiddo. I forced a smile when he looked up at me. She's having a good morning. He nodded proudly. She's amazing. Amazing. Damon hadn't said that about her in years. I knew then the deception went deeper than I could imagine. And whatever Damon was planning, it had everything to do with leaving Lila, and me, behind for good. That same afternoon, I drove downtown to my law office. Layla Morgan was already there, waiting in my corner suite overlooking the city. She's my closest colleague, sharp, no-nonsense, and the best at spotting hidden assets in divorce cases. I'd texted her on the way, emergency review of joint finances. We sat at my desk, laptops open. I logged into our main checking account first, the one where Damon's salary from his corporate law firm deposited automatically. Layla pulled up the statements side by side. The monthly transfers I'd set up 2 years ago were gone. Everyone. Those were the automatic payments for Lila's specialized school. The place with trained teachers for visually impaired kids, small classes, and all the adaptive tools she needed. $3,000 a month vanished from the scheduled list. Look here, Layla said, scrolling back 3 months. He canceled them one by one. No notification, just removed. Next, the savings account we'd labeled Lila's Future, meant for Braille devices, future therapies, maybe audio college prep down the line. Balance used to sit at $80,000. Now it was under 10. Layla clicked into transaction history. Large outgoing wires, 5 to 10,000 each, routed to a new account I didn't recognize. The recipient a joint checking in Damon's name, and Gemma Scott's. Who's Gemma Scott? Layla asked, already typing the name into a public record search. I didn't answer yet. We kept digging. Credit card statements next. Charges I'd never seen, a luxury resort booking in Miami for 2 weeks starting yesterday. Ocean view suite spa packages, private dinners, then jewelry. A 5-figure necklace from a high-end boutique charged last month. Designer bags, shoes, all shipped to an address in Miami that matched the resort's zip code. Lila leaned back, eyes narrowing. This isn't just separation money. He's systematically draining everything tied to Lila's care and moving it to this woman. I pulled up the equipment fund I'd managed separately, reimbursements for Lila's home braille labeler, talking watches, tactile learning kits. Damon had access as co-signer. Those transfers stopped, 2 redirected the same way. He's not just leaving, I said quietly. He's making sure we can't afford her needs without him. Lila started downloading PDFs of every statement, encrypting them to a secure drive. We need to preserve this now. Chain of evidence. She ran a quick trace on the new account through her professional databases. Gemma Scott, 26, pharmaceutical sales rep covering Florida. Social profiles, private but tagged photos showed her with Damon at industry events over the past year. Classic, Layla muttered. He's setting up a new life while cutting off the old one. I watched the numbers scroll: 20,000 to resort deposits, 15 to personal shopping, 8 to what looked like first-class upgrades. All while Lila's school invoice sat unpaid last month. I'd covered it from my own salary, thinking it was a glitch. Layla turned to me. This crosses into fraud territory. Diverting funds meant for a dependent child's medical and educational support in Wisconsin, that's criminal, especially with the amounts. She bookmarked the interstate transfer logs. Federal if he's moving money across states to hide it. We should loop in authorities soon. Freeze what we can before it's gone. I nodded, copying everything to my encrypted folder. The room felt colder as the full picture settled in. Damon hadn't just found someone new. He'd calculated every dollar away from his daughter's future, funneling it straight to his escape plan. Layla closed her laptop. Whatever game he's playing, we've got the receipts now. Literally. Late Monday night, I slipped into the home office. Trent had gone to bed an hour earlier, claiming an early client call. I waited until the house was completely silent, then opened the door to his briefcase, the sleek black leather one he carried everywhere. It wasn't locked. Inside, under a stack of fake contract folders, lay a thick envelope. I pulled it out carefully. Handwritten pages organized like a playbook. The first sheet was titled, Daily Routine, Uma. Bullet points in Damon's neat script preferred coffee strength, exact time. I checked emails how I organized Lila's therapy schedule on the kitchen calendar. Phrases I used without thinking. Time for sensory play, sweetie, or let's feel the shapes together. Next page, interactions with Lila. Detailed notes on bedtime stories, which books she loved most in Braille, the sing-song voice I used for character voices, common comfort lines when she got frustrated. It's okay, we'll try again tomorrow, or Mommy's proud of you no matter what. Even the lullaby I hummed every night with melody notes scribbled in the margin. I flipped further. Conversation starters. Topics to avoid: anything about future family vacations, safe subjects, work wins, neutral news. Anniversary reminders. Dates, gift ideas I'd mentioned in passing years ago. At the back, a separate sheet, timeline notes. Clear instructions in bold, maximum 3 months. Maintain cover until full asset transfer complete. Keep appearances normal. No slip-ups on child routines. My hands shook as I photographed every page with my phone's secure app. This wasn't just separation planning. Damon had scripted an entire replacement life down to how to tuck our daughter in at night. The office phone rang suddenly, the landline we rarely used. I glanced at the caller ID, Louise Hayes. I answered, hitting record immediately. Uma. Her voice was sharp, no greeting. Damon finally told me everything. I stayed silent, letting her talk. That blind granddaughter of mine is nothing but a burden on this family. Damon deserves better than wasting his life on a defective child. He shouldn't have to care for some disabled kid forever. He's my son. He needs a real future, a normal one. She paused, expecting agreement. I didn't give it. He's right to move on, she continued. You can handle her yourself if you're so determined. We're done pretending this is acceptable for our name. I kept my voice steady. Is that all? Don't act surprised, she snapped. You've known it's been hard on him. Now he's free. The line went dead after her final huff. I saved the recording, labeling it clearly. Louise's words, raw, unfiltered disdain for her own granddaughter's disability, echoed in the quiet room. Damon hadn't just hired someone to play his role. He'd prepared this imposter to mimic intimacy with Lila perfectly, buying time to strip away everything while keeping up the facade of a devoted dad. The script pages felt heavier now. Every noted phrase, every bedtime detail was ammunition in his plan to vanish without suspicion. I closed the briefcase exactly as I'd found it, slid the envelope back under the folders. Tomorrow I'd send copies to the right people. But tonight, the full cruelty sank in. Damon wasn't escaping me. He was erasing Lila's existence from his life and using a paid actor to make sure no one noticed until it was too late. A few days later, midweek, the phone rang while I sat on the floor reading a Braille storybook to Lila. I let it go to voicemail first, finishing the page about the brave little rabbit. Lila traced the raised dots with her fingers, smiling at the familiar tale. When the beep ended, I checked the missed call. Unknown number. Before I could call back, it rang again. Same number. I answered. Hello? A young woman's voice, confident and edged with mockery. Is this Uma Hayes, Damon's wife? I recognized the tone immediately. Who is this? Gemma Scott. She laughed lightly. You know the one he's with now. I thought it was time we talked woman to woman. Lila tugged at my sleeve for the next page, but I held up a finger, signaling wait. Gemma continued without pause. Look, I get it must be hard for you. Raising that disabled kid all alone soon. But let's be real. You can't possibly handle her properly. Damon needs a normal woman, a real family. Not whatever this is. You're just holding him back. That poor child is never going to be normal, and honestly, no one should have to deal with that forever. I pressed record on my phone app silently. Say that again, I said evenly. She didn't hesitate. Damon told me everything, how exhausting it is, how it's ruined his life. He deserves someone who can give him healthy kids, a future without all the complications. You're a burden to him, and that little girl is too. It's kinder for everyone if he starts fresh. Lila leaned closer, sensing tension. Mommy. I covered the speaker briefly. 1 minute, sweetie. Gemma kept going. He's done pretending. We're building something real here. You should just accept it and focus on figuring out how to manage on your own. Special schools, therapies, that's all on you now. The line stayed open, her breathing audible, waiting for my reaction. I ended the call without another word, saving the full recording. That evening, Zena Brooks arrived at the house. She's an old friend from law school days. Sharp former federal prosecutor who left for private practice but kept strong contacts. I'd sent her encrypted files the night before. We spread printouts across the dining table after putting Lila to bed. Zena scanned the offshore transfer trails I'd uncovered since the weekend. Shell companies in the Caymans, she said, pointing to routing numbers. Classic layering. Funds go from your joint accounts to a Delaware LLC Damon set up last year, then wired overseas under consulting invoices. It's structured fraud. Intentional diversion to hide assets during what he probably planned as a divorce. She cross-referenced dates. Timing matches increased spending on the new account. This isn't sloppy. It's deliberate. Zena pulled up her secure laptop, logging into old databases. I've seen this pattern in white-collar cases. When the amounts hit federal thresholds and cross state lines, FBI Financial Crimes gets interested. She made a call on her burner phone, speaking in quick professional shorthand to a former colleague. Need a quiet consult on interstate asset concealment involving dependent support evasion. Minor child with disabilities. Adds ADA angles. After hanging up, she nodded. They're opening a file. I'll forward everything anonymously first, then we decide direct involvement. I played Gemma's recording for her. Zena's jaw tightened. That's gold. Motive evidence. Discrimination against a disabled dependent to justify abandonment. Ties directly to intent for the fraud. We mapped next steps, freeze orders possible through family court, federal hold on offshore once flagged. This isn't just divorce theft anymore, Zena said. It's calculated erasure of responsibility. The call from Gemma still burned. Not for me. For Lila. Every word a reminder of how far Damon had fallen, how willingly his new life embraced cruelty. Zena packed her notes. We move fast now, before he finishes emptying what's left. The following Saturday, I stood in the kitchen preparing dinner. Trent walked in from his home office, loosening his tie after another fake conference call. He poured himself water, watching me chop vegetables for stir-fry. I've been thinking, I said casually, keeping my tone concerned but practical. Lila's current program is good, but the specialists recommended a more advanced school next year, one with full-time vision therapists and tech integration. It's expensive. We should plan ahead financially. He nodded slowly, setting his glass down. Yeah, that makes sense. How much are we talking? Significant increase. Tuition alone doubles plus equipment upgrades. I wiped my hands on a towel. We need to loop in your biggest partners, the ones handling our investment funds. Get their input on restructuring assets for long-term support. And your mom should be there too. Family decision. Trent paused, processing. Oh, his script probably covered routine expenses, but not this level of forward planning. Still refusing would raise flags. You're right, he said finally. Better to have everyone on board. I'll set it up. He pulled out his laptop right there at the island counter, logging into Damon's email. I watched over his shoulder as he drafted the message. Subject: urgent family financial planning meeting. Sunday morning, body gentleman Louise. Need your presence at the house tomorrow at 9 a.m. Critical discussion regarding long-term provisions for Lila's educational and medical needs. New specialized program requires substantial commitment. Your expertise on portfolio adjustments is essential. Coffee and breakfast provided. Discretion appreciated. He CC'd 3 senior partners from Damon's firm, the ones overseeing multi-million client trusts, and Louise. Sent, he announced, closing the lid with satisfaction. They'll come. No one ignores a direct ask like this from Damon Hayes. I smiled thinly. Perfect. This shows real commitment to her future. Responses started pinging within minutes, confirmations from the partners. On my way. See you at 9. Happy to help with planning. Louise replied last, of course, whatever Damon needs. Trent looked relieved, back in character. It'll be good to get ahead of this. That night, after he went upstairs, I packaged every file, transaction logs, recordings, timelines, into an encrypted zip. I sent it to Zena with a single note, full set ready. Timing critical for Sunday intervention. She replied instantly, received. Coordinating with contacts. They'll be positioned. I deleted the sent mail trace, cleared history. The house felt charged now, every room part of the stage. Trent came down for water around midnight, oblivious. Can't sleep, he asked. Just finishing meal prep for tomorrow. I lied smoothly. Big day. He squeezed my shoulder. We'll figure it out. For Lila. His touch felt rehearsed, hollow. I nodded, turning back to the counter. The invitations were out. Key players committed. Authorities primed. One more night of the act. Then the curtain falls. Early Sunday morning, everyone had just settled around the living room table. The 3 senior partners arrived first, coffee in hand, notebooks open. Louise came last, air-kissing Trent before taking her seat at the end. Pastries and fruit sat untouched in the center. Trent cleared his throat, standing at the head like Damon would. Thank you all for coming on short notice. We're here to secure Lila's long-term needs, advanced programming equipment therapies. I want your guidance on reallocating funds efficiently. One partner nodded. Smart to plan early. We can model several scenarios. Louise smiled tightly. Whatever it takes for family. A firm knock echoed from the front door. 3 sharp raps. Trent frowned. Expecting anyone else? I rose quietly, walking to open it. 4 officers in Milwaukee PD uniforms stood outside, flanked by 2 suited federal agents. Badges flashed. Trent Zane, the lead detective asked, stepping in with a warrant folder. Trent froze mid-sentence. That's not my name. Trent Zane, you're under arrest for identity theft impersonation and conspiracy to commit financial fraud. The detective recited rights as cuffs clicked on. You have the right to remain silent. The partners shifted uncomfortably. Louise's face drained of color. Agents moved efficiently, one securing Trent's laptop from the side table. Another set up a tablet on the coffee table screen facing the room. I stood meeting the camera feed that flickered to life. Damon's face appeared, disheveled in an orange jumpsuit from a holding room in Miami. FBI had coordinated the live link. He stared eyes wide, realizing the audience behind me. I spoke once clearly into the microphone. Damon, you abandoned Lila because she's blind. Now face the consequences of being a deadbeat father. His mouth opened, no sound at first. Then color left his face entirely. Pale, drained, the smugness gone. Eyes darted to Louise, to his partners watching in stunned silence. Louise gasped, hand to chest. Damon, what is this? One partner muttered, Jesus, pulling out his phone. Damon stammered on screen. Uma, wait! The feed cut as agents ended the call. Trent, real name out, was led toward the door, head down. He glanced back once to feet clear. The room stayed silent except for Louise's sharp breathing. An agent addressed the group calmly. Mr. Hayes has been detained in Florida on related federal charges. This residence is now part of an active investigation. Partners exchanged looks, gathering briefcases quickly. Polite but hasty goodbyes, promises to call lawyers. Louise lingered, last eyes pleading. There must be a mistake. I met her gaze without warmth. No mistake. She left without another word, door closing behind the last officer. The house felt suddenly empty. No more performance, no more lies propping up the walls. Everything Damon built on deception crumbled in minutes, exposed in front of the people whose respect he valued most. And my one sentence hung in the air, the final truth he couldn't escape. 6 months later, I walked Lila into her new specialized school in Milwaukee. She held my hand tightly, her small fingers tracing the Braille sign on the entrance door. The building smelled of fresh paint and learning materials, wide hallways, tactile floors, teachers trained specifically for visual impairment. A staff member greeted us warmly. Miss Hayes, Lila's classroom is this way. Lila bounced excitedly. Mommy, I hear the music room. I smiled, guiding her toward the sound. This place cost more, but every dollar went to programs that would help her thrive independently. Advanced mobility training, technology classes, social groups with peers like her. The court battle ended weeks ago. Damon pled guilty to financial fraud and money laundering charges. Federal sentencing handed down 3 years prison time plus restitution for every diverted dollar. On top of that, family court slammed him with lifetime child support arrears, calculated to include all past due amounts for Lila's therapies, plus projected costs for this school medical equipment, future college adaptations. Garnishment started immediately from any assets recovered. The judge revoked his parental rights permanently. Evidence of intentional abandonment combined with recorded discrimination against Lila's disability made it airtight. No visitation, no appeals likely to succeed. I gained sole legal and physical custody. No shared decisions ever again. We sold the old house in the suburbs. Too many memories. Proceeds plus recovered funds from frozen accounts gave us a fresh start. I bought a smaller, accessible condo downtown closer to work, and Lila's new school. My new firm opened 3 months back, Hayes Family Advocacy, specializing in mothers of children with disabilities facing spousal betrayal or abandonment. Cases poured in. Women whose partners vanished when diagnoses came or drained accounts to punish them for burdening the family. Referrals grew fast. I hired 2 associates focused on aggressive asset recovery and support enforcement. We partnered with disability rights groups for expert testimony. Louise tried calling twice after the sentencing, voicemails full of tears, excuses about not knowing the full extent. I deleted them without responding. Seth reached out once, thanking me quietly for not dragging him into charges, asking if he could see Lila sometime. I blocked the number. Help or not, he was still part of that family. Lila deserved boundaries without toxicity. She flourished in her new environment. Teachers sent weekly updates, mastering new Braille words, leading group activities, making friends who understood her world. Evenings now meant reading together longer, playing adaptive games, planning small adventures she could experience fully, sensory gardens, audio theater shows. Damon's name rarely came up. When Lila asked why Daddy wasn't around anymore, I told her simply, "He chose not to be here, but Mommy always will." In America, abandoning a child, especially one with disabilities, isn't just morally wrong, it's legally devastating. Back child support accrues interest, wage garnishment follows for life, professional licenses can be suspended. Criminal charges stick when fraud hides the escape. Damon learned that the hard way. His partner's distance, the firm reputation ruined. I learned something too. Strength isn't loud. It's showing up every day for the person who needs you most, protecting them from those who won't. Lila waved goodbye from her classroom door, her teacher guiding her inside. I watched until she disappeared around the corner, confident and happy. We'd built our own normal. Just the 2 of us. And it was enough.